Good evening. Hello, everybody. You are watching the Cheese Room podcast. You're live with the caller. And Shan, are you awake? Shan, wake up, Shan.
So long to start, I fell asleep, caller. Jesus Christ.
It's not due to me. It's due to John. John couldn't find his headphones this evening. Anyway, look, we're back here. We're talking about a win tonight, which is fantastic, and previewing hopefully what will be a win against the Caravan Club on Wednesday.
And caller.
Yeah?
We didn't beat Liverpool. It was the draw.
It was a win. It felt like a win. I'm sure it was a win.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
It did feel like a win, didn't it? We'll get into it in a minute. Welcome, Vienna's #1 Spurs fan. It's HG. How are you, HG?
I'm good. I'm good. There's nothing more to add. I'm doing well. I hope everyone watching is doing well. I got called a detestable prick on one of our recent videos. So if that person's watching, congratulations. Thanks for watching again. And I'm doing well.
The best of it is he subscribed to tell you that. So there you go.
Probably my mum. It was probably my mum.
Also joining us tonight, applying his BTEC in sports science all the way from the South Coast, it's John. How are you, John? Can't hear you, John. Can't hear you.
Oh, he's having a mare.
He's having a mare. Go to Shan, I think. I can lip read. And Shan has spent all week wrapping Christmas presents for dogs, apparently. Shan, how are you?
Okay, I actually haven't wrapped any of the Christmas presents for my dogs. That is what I've got to do when this show finishes. So I haven't even started on them yet. But
we're there in the pre-show, and she's going, "Can we be quick tonight? Can we be quick tonight? Because I need to wrap."
No, I said, "Come on, can we get this going, please? I've got presents to wrap." Because your punctuality, caller, honestly stinks.
Didn't have this problem with Brendan the other night, albeit didn't have an intro either. John, welcome. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right. Sorry, my fault. I've got a new laptop because the other one broke. It arrived yesterday. We on the preview realised it was echoing. Had to go and find headphones. Bit of a nightmare. Supposed to be going to Guernsey this week. My 12-year-old's got COVID, so we're now staying here. I'm probably going to get COVID. We'll all get COVID. But at least we had a great performance on Saturday.
Did it feel like a win, John?
Sunday. What?
Did it feel like a win, John?
It really did feel like a win. Compared to the shit we've had for the last 2 years, yeah.
There you go. So, look, it's the miracle of Christmas this week. Happy Christmas to you all. And we can actually review a game of football. So let's get straight into it. HG, the ghosts of Christmas past, Dele, Tongi, Winks and Sessegnon. Were you a bit worried when you saw that lineup?
I'm worried whoever's playing against Liverpool because they're a really good side. But yeah, like it wasn't our first team, and we're all a bit nervous about these midfielders because on their day they're great, and a lot of the time that's not their day. But I don't know, like sitting here now, 36 hours after the game or whatever it is, then it feels I had little to worry about. But I was definitely worried about Sessegnon up against Trent and Mohamed, and so I was just like, well, we'll see what happens. But I think we'd all preferred to see Højbjerg and Skip in the middle. I was happy that Lucas didn't start, so that worked in my favour. But it was a good game.
Charlotte, you've been a child.
She's gone.
I can't work out if it's her laughing that's the high-pitched noise or some dog toy in the background.
It's definitely a dog toy. It's what's being wrapped tonight. I mean, let's come to you, Shan. Andy Townsend apparently said on the beIN Sports feed that Spurs have had a nice break, regrouped, and had loads of time to work with Conte, and that was the difference maker. I mean, is that guy a bellend or what?
Have you asked me that just because of my tweet that got like 1,300 likes or something?
I didn't know you had. I've been locked in a superstore for weeks.
I basically said that the Liverpool fans or any fans that are saying that are fucking imbeciles. It's not like we chose to have a 2-week break in our season, get kicked out of the Conference League, build up we're like 3 games fucking behind. We're like 3 games behind. We chose that. We did it on purpose. It's all part of the plan, obviously, because Romero's injured and we want to get to January. Some sort of conspiracy theorists. These Arsenal and Liverpool fans are thick as shit, and that's all I have to say.
Well, I'm sure it's not all you've got to say, but
no, it's not all I've got. Also, we've had this lovely time, 2-week break. We couldn't flipping train for half of it. They all had fucking COVID.
Yeah, I mean that would be my take on it as well. I'm not quite sure why anyone thinks a break with half the squad down with COVID is some sort of great opportunity to work with people, because it takes the breath out of your lungs, doesn't it, HG? I mean, professional sportsman or not.
Am I the one person here who hasn't had COVID yet? Look, I just think that
no, John's not had it. He's about to get it.
He's about to. Okay, like you could say it was a rest. I mean, but Conte's training sessions are apparently harder than games. So I don't know. You're clutching at straws. Like, obviously, it's worked in our favour a little bit for the players. The players that had COVID didn't play the game yesterday. I think Royal was the only one to start. Davies. Oh, and Son. Okay, so there's 3. So we had 3 players that had COVID, but a lot of the other ones were on the bench. Skip was on the bench. Lucas came on. So you could see that maybe that those players that did start in midfield. But I mean, I remember looking at the screen after Liverpool equalised. And they showed Dele, and he was puffing, like absolutely puffing. It was like 40 odd minutes into the game. So I don't know. I feel like Spurs against Liverpool. 2 months ago when Nuno was in charge, we'd lose that game 2-0, 3-0 easily.
Easy.
And I think
4-0, 5-0.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that people find it weird to think that Conte has had the kind of the effect that he's had. And so they're looking for other reasons, and the COVID break, whatever you want to call it, has given people a reason to use.
But we've still got players out, John, haven't we? I mean, that wasn't anywhere near a full strength Spurs side. Wasn't a full strength Liverpool side, to be fair, either. But all this nonsense, does it boil your blood a little bit?
Not as much as Shan's blood boils, but she gets proper into it on Twitter. I think I actually said on Friday, I was just trying to play devil's advocate and sort of saying a bit flippantly and didn't really believe it, that maybe the likes of Ndombele and Dele might have impressed Conte and get in the team. And apparently it worked. But yeah, I don't know. People just say stuff, don't they? Andy Townsend is a moron, isn't he?
He wasn't even a very good footballer, let's be honest.
He played for that Blue Lot, didn't he, in West London? So not his biggest fan. He's just an idiot. He's the sort of guy who has to make a comment to make a comment, almost just to get his paycheck, almost, isn't he? I think, yeah.
I can't stand listening to him. And to be perfectly honest, when FIFA decided to bring him in as one of the commentators on the game, that was it for me. I was done. Harry Kane, sticking with you, John. His first home Premier League goal since Boris Johnson became a father for the 4th time. Is he back?
I'm going to doubt 4, to be honest, with the stories I've heard, but that's another story.
Well, is he back?
He's definitely getting there. Obviously, he missed a couple of chances after the goal. And did he miss one before? Can't remember. But yeah, he's definitely getting there. It was a far better performance. You can tell Conte's got into him and got him motivated. And I think playing up with Son as a 2 made a big difference, because he wasn't isolated. He wasn't dropping deep all the time. Having the 3 in midfield helped as well. But he was just a much better performance all round. Obviously, having the early goal helped him, although he could have obviously walked quite early as well.
Well, we'll come to that in a. In fact, no. Let's go with it now. Let's get an opinion from all 3 of you, and then I'll tell you mine if you're lucky. Shan, I'm sure you've got plenty to say on this too. Should forget their sending off for a minute. Should Kane have gone?
I think it was like an orange.
Brilliant.
It was an orange card. Like, it could have gone either way. There was a clear attempt for the ball. His foot, if you look at it in real time, his foot barely catches him and he jumps. So there's minimal contact, which I think has helped him. If Robertson hadn't have jumped, I think he'd have gone.
If Robinson hadn't jumped, he'd have had his leg in 2 pieces.
Yeah, but there was because he jumped, there wasn't that much contact. So I kind of get it. He was going for the ball. He jumped, minimal contact. He thinks he won the ball, but it was with his arm. So fuck knows what he was thinking.
I don't know what that post-match interview was like. Yeah, I think I've got something on it. Yeah, your arm, Harry. So Shan, as ever, is sitting so much on the fence. She's got splinters in her ass. HG, what say you? Should he have gone?
Yeah, by the rules as they are now, then yes, because it was somewhat reckless. I mean, I don't think it was completely reckless, but it was clearly always second best. And when we were kids, like second best meant you just went for it. Even if you weren't going to win it, you just thought, well, I've got a chance. And nowadays that can't happen. So, on another day, a different ref gives it as a red card, and we can't really complain. We can complain at Kane for making the stupid challenge, but I think if you compare it with the one that did get a red card, they were about as bad as each other. And so, really, my annoyance is the fact that that somehow they were the inconsistency there, because clearly, I mean, Kane is clearly trying to win the ball and doesn't, and Robertson is clearly not trying to win the ball, and so that to me makes it more dangerous. Because he's just trying to kick the person. If he gets the ball, then great. But if he doesn't care. And Kane is never trying to get Robertson. That's never his idea. So I think a yellow for both probably would have been fair. But I do think that Robertson's was worse of the two.
Yeah. John, were you just shocked to see Kane making a tackle?
No, not under Conte. Not under this new thing. I think it was a red because he wasn't in control. And ultimately, under the rules of the way up as they are now, 20 years ago, it was maybe a yellow. It might not have even been a yellow. But I think now he lost control. It was reckless. It was fortunate. Well, maybe not because it was Robertson and he's an arse. Fortunate that Robertson did jump. But he didn't know where the ball was. But in the interview afterwards, he's not going to say, yeah, I should have been sent off, is he? No player's going to say that.
No, of course.
Unless he got sent off, he might say, "Yeah, I probably should have been." But he lost control. He was all hyped up. The crowd was so loud. Even you sent us a message, and we weren't there. There was only 45,000, so it was 75% full, and it's the loudest that stadium's probably been
in a long time
since Poch's time, I guess.
Maybe. City game, first game of the season.
City was
loud. That's when we had optimism. Very short-lived, but yeah. I have to say, I thought the crowd was, considering those 45,000 there, it is as loud as you've heard the stadium. John, do you think it was? Do you think Robertson's was as bad or worse?
I think it was worse
because
it's almost a scissor action. There's no attempt to get the ball there at all. Harry was trying to get the ball; he was just reckless. Whereas Robertson was just going to try and take the guy out. I mean, yeah, he maybe thought I might get to the ball if I take the guy first. But absolute red card. And as I tweeted, he should have had a red card 2 years ago for an awful challenge on Tanganga. So I've got very little sympathy with these Liverpool fans moaning that Kane wasn't sent off.
Well, I'm sure they'll get plenty of luck across the season as well as bad luck. I think it might be to do with the fact he's the England captain and, generally clean cut, never goes into a tackle normally.
You think there's something in that England captain stuff? Because I don't remember previous England captains getting the benefit of the doubt because they were England captain. Is that a thing?
Especially when that England captain was Harry Kane.
Gary Lineker never got sent off, did he?
Never got booked. But that was because he was Gary Lineker. Nothing to do with being England captain.
Maybe. I don't know, really. I don't know whether there is or there isn't. I think Harry Kane's not a dirty player, is he? I think that's Robertson has got form for this kind of thing. and that's being polite.
Excellence as well. Let's not. Emerson absolutely done him, and he'd caught him. I think he'd caught him a little bit earlier, hadn't he? I think he'd caught him for his goal. Yeah. Emerson had caught him, then he's done him. And it's petulance. It's pure petulance. There was no reason for him to do it whatsoever. So, yeah, it was just very silly, very immature.
I think that's where I'm at with it. I think it was Robertson's was just pure brutishness, stupidity, and Kane's was pure stupidity, thinking he could pull a tackle like that off.
Well, the interesting thing with the Robertson challenge is that. I watched the highlights with Andy Townsend because obviously I watched the game with German commentary.
Yeah.
I watched it with him. But it was. He tried to say that when Robertson was about to kick the ball, like that Emerson Royal kind of put his leg in the way to try and initiate contact, and I'm like, he's just trying to protect the ball. But we've seen that in other games where players are clearly trying to protect the ball, and their foot lands, unintentionally on someone's ankle or runs down their leg, and they get sent off for it. Yeah. So it's one of those things that, like, if Royal had connected with Robertson's leg as Robertson was swinging through, they could have been arguing that both of them get reds. It's ridiculous. Like, if one person's trying to protect the ball, then that's pretty obvious to see on camera. And I don't think you need to be a footballer or an ex-footballer to figure out that's what's going on. And so it's all a bit weird. Like, you could tell that the intention from Robertson was to, if he didn't get the ball, he would get the man. And I don't think the same is true of Kane. I think Kane was clearly trying to get the ball. Yes, he's late, and yes, it's a yellow card. But the intent was so much different from Robertson. And so as much as personally, I think that, you level it out, you say, right, both are yellows. The inconsistency means that someone else is going to get done later on for something that probably shouldn't be a red card. But it was weird to watch the commentators try and find a way to slant it Liverpool's way, because both sides were done by a crap referee, by crap VAR the entire game. And unfortunately for Liverpool, it meant that one of their players got sent off from it. But no one in that refereeing team had a good game yesterday.
Yeah. 69 people, 70 people watching. Do please smash a like and let us know what you think in the comments. Super chats are running. And it's Christmas. Show some love. HG, sticking with you just for 1 minute.
Okay.
Do you think Toggy's pass to Kane was well worth the 65 million quid?
Well, one pass, no. I mean, that's Dave obviously trying to set me up for something. No, but I mean, Tongi was in the team to have those passes, and he produced certainly in the first half. Second half, obviously, he went off after 15 minutes, so you didn't see as much of it. But Tongi was, he was working hard for the team, and what other player really would have played that pass or tried to? And the fact that he didn't go, it's really interesting to me that when Kane's running between, I think it was Konate and Robertson, he didn't put it to the inside of Kane, which is probably what you would have thought you would do. But by putting it to the right-hand side of Kane, it meant that Konate couldn't get across. It's almost like he recognised that with Robertson facing the other way, he wasn't going to turn around and make that challenge. I don't know if Dombele meant that. But if he really did say that was the best option, then it worked perfectly. I don't know where Dombele really fits in that team. In big games, I still wouldn't trust him too much. But against lesser teams, you could have him as one of the three easily.
Liverpool.
Well, no, Liverpool are not a lesser team. We might want to think that, but they're not. It's about finding that right combination. And you looked at Winks, Dele, Dombele. You all thought against Liverpool we might struggle, and against Liverpool's first team we would have struggled. But perhaps we were a little bit lucky that they had a kid. Was it Morton, and then Naby Keita, who's probably been a bit of a failure considering they spent almost 60 million on him, and then Milner, who he's 36 now. I mean, we were probably a bit fortunate that the midfields, both of them, were weak. But Dombele, I think, played his part, and after 64 minutes or whatever it was, Skip came on, and I think we actually looked a little bit better with Skip on the pitch.
Yeah. No surprises there, because Skip's been star man this season for me so far. Shan, Liverpool's equaliser, where does the blame lie? Does it begin with the letter D and end in Avidson Sanchez?
I can't remember, to be honest. It was one of them games where so much went on. I can't remember their first goal. I can't even remember how it went in. I can't remember what happened. I don't think there was too much anyone could have done about it. It was just...
I can take this.
Yeah, go for it, John.
So the ball started at the back for Liverpool, and they played out to Robertson, who was just on the halfway line. Emerson Royal came to front him up. Robertson passed the ball, went down, came along. And the Davies clearance was a bit iffy, wasn't it? Because it wasn't really a clearance, wasn't controlled. It's all half and half. But Robertson ran in, chipped the ball. Emerson was 10 yards outside the box still. He did not track his man. So for that reason, I'm blaming Emerson, because he should have stopped it much earlier.
Interesting.
Okay. I think it was one of those weird things that as whoever it was that was coming down the left initially, was it maybe Mane? And so Sanchez is beaten, which is a problem. So then Dier comes across. And so Sanchez realizes, okay, like I think Dier even tells Sanchez, get in the box. I've got him. You get in the box. And so Sanchez is going into the 6-yard box and he's looking around and he doesn't really know what to do. And we have that situation where Dier's come out and then Davies has come out. And so Sanchez is the one in the middle. And Dier tries to get back in, but doesn't get there in time. And so you've got basically, to me, Diogo Jota should be Sanchez's man. There's no point marking space at that moment. You need to go to where the threat is. There was only one, maybe two Liverpool players there. It's not as if they had overloaded the middle. And so I think Davinson is probably responsible, at least for Jota to get his head on the ball. I know that Dele was in the area too, and his challenge was woeful, let's be honest. But Dele, to even be in that area shows kind of desire to get back and help out. The three of them, because the centre-backs were all basically all dragged out of position, Sanchez is the one who, because he didn't follow Jota, I think a lot of it goes on him too. There's no way that Diogo Jota should be getting a free header 8 yards out or whatever it was. And like you can understand, Dier comes across to cover, Davies comes across to cover, and Sanchez is the one left, and he didn't get to the man, which I think he probably should have done.
John, a lot of chances missed yesterday. We've got to do better than that, haven't we? In games moving forward, I think if we're to be successful and punch for that top four, we've got to finish better.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was rustiness. Obviously, with Dele's hardly played. Sonny's early chance was a very tough one from the cross from Kane on the half volley. That would have been an amazing goal. It was quite similar to the goal he scored at Wembley in the 4-1, wasn't it? But it was a harder ball to control. And then there was the ball that Dele tried to use his left foot and pass it to Kane when Kane had an open goal. Kane could have probably gone round at Alisson because Alisson was already anticipating and going down, the same as he was for Dele's chance in the first half. It's just fine margins. Alisson had a good game. Dele needs to learn to kick the ball with his left foot, for the love of God. I don't know how he's got to this stage of his career and he can't. Or learn how to Rabona it.
And that got absolutely slated because he wouldn't use his
but he Rabona'd it. Maybe Dele needs to do that.
I mean, yeah, we'll come back.
HG, I can almost see the steam coming out of your ears at the name, and you're like sat there fuming. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Lamela, who's been injured for the last 8 games or something for Sevilla. What a shot.
Yeah. How did he injure his shoulder sitting on the bench? I don't understand how that's possible.
Like that.
Like hips, I can understand if you're just sitting down all the time, but shoulders, Eric. I mean, it sounds awful. Like you look at the deal that's happened, and you could probably say that Sevilla got the better of the deal because Lamela has scored a few for them, and Brian has been in and out the team at best, right?
Yeah.
But and Brian's also very left-footed, so we haven't massively improved. But yeah, to see Lamela injured, it's not a surprise, is it? Let's be honest.
But yeah, anyway, yes.
How does this show always get dragged back to Eric Lamela's injury record?
Nothing to do with me. That was nothing to do with me.
However, yes, if we take our chances, we could have won that game handsomely. Even though they had some good chances, we could have won that game. That's the frustration.
And I think that's the thing we've got to improve looking forward, isn't it? I can see loads of comments about Harry Winks in the chat. Don't worry, people. We're going to come to Harry Winks.
We're all waiting. We should all mute ourselves so that Caller can give his Harry Winks.
100 likes. Harry Winks,
it was 100 likes, yeah.
Come on, guys.
100 likes. I'll say something nice about Harry Winks. We're on 40, I think. So, there's 90 people watching, so you could pretty much do it now if you wanted to. HG, Franco said on the pod, Kane didn't deserve a red. I mean, we've covered it, but what's Franco thinking?
Well, I mean, he agrees with me then. I mean, I haven't listened to the pod, but I didn't think it was a red. It is one of those things, like, challenges relatively early in the game tend to get away with things, and maybe they shouldn't. That clearly helped Harry in this case, I think. But, I mean, I remember watching a game, actually, I think it was at Liverpool years ago, and one of their players clattered someone within the first 30 seconds and didn't get a yellow, and it was a clear yellow. But at that point, you just think, well, first 30 seconds is not going to happen. There were lots of things that worked in Kane's favour, but I think a red would have been pretty harsh, personally. Despite the fact I know the rules are as they are, maybe I just don't like the rule as it currently stands. I think that it is a contact sport. It is elite level sport. He's not trying to injure someone, and so let them play the game a little bit. We often see that where players are tussling for the ball and they let it go. I'm not really sure how this is much different.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah, go on.
We'll move on. Shan, Dele firstly, Dele is back maybe a little bit, but secondly, was it a penalty on Dele? Because I hear a lot of people in the Liverpool sphere talking about their penalty they didn't get.
A lot of people in the Liverpool sphere talk about a lot of things, but they're as consistent as my guts, and we all know my guts aren't very consistent. So.
Wow. Just wow.
I didn't know that, Shan. I'm not sure I wanted to, frankly, but I'm glad. But
you're out of control this evening. Have you been drinking again?
No.
Okay.
It's just been a while. It's been a while since I've been with you all.
I know. Well, you're just high and happy, aren't you? Dele, come on then.
Yeah.
So, was it a pen on Dele?
I think if the Jota one would have been given, then I think you could have given the Dele and the Harry Winks ones as pens. But I don't think any of them were pens. So right decision. But if you gave one, you'd have to give the other. So.
And what was your general view on Dele?
I really want Dele to do well. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, I had such high hopes for him. I got him on the back of my away shirt instead of Reguilón. I don't know if I regret that or not. Time will tell. But I
think you could have got Sessegnon, Shan. Sessegnon's the one you want. Value for money as well, just by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but so would Reguilón.
True.
Reguilón and Sessegnon, if we had them on both sides, that would be great, wouldn't it? A bit of poetry going on, But yeah, no, I want Dele to do well, but I think he needs to do it consistently. And I still don't see when everyone's fit, I don't see where he fits in unless he's going to be a good impact player. So he comes on maybe with like 35 minutes to play and changes a game. I don't see where he fits into our starting 11, but he can prove us wrong. I'm happy for any of them to do that. Ben Davies has done it, so.
Yep, all these people now coming to the fore that we said we want out of the club about a month ago. Dele, the bit for me, you could see what we miss with Dele when he was in that penalty shout. The control to bring the ball down like that, almost under control, almost, was exceptional. And that's what he can bring to the team, right?
Yeah, I think everyone knows how I feel about Dele, that he has, a special something that Spurs have missed for a long time, and we haven't been able to see it because of how we've played. That doesn't necessarily, absolve Dele for the way he's played, but it's very difficult to see how good he is when we're playing defensive football the entire time. Yesterday, I wish he'd have buried the chance that he didn't score, where it was a fantastic save, but I was still a little bit annoyed that he didn't make it so it was impossible. Like we saw similar situations last year with Bale, where Bale just hits it top corner without even thinking, right? And the goalkeeper can't get near it. And unfortunately, Dele just didn't get it high enough or even low enough. It was the perfect height for Alisson to get across. But the penalty for Dele, I don't think it was one. I think the chest was perfect. I think that when it hits his leg as it's coming down, that's where the mistake was. And I think that's why Dele didn't appeal for anything. I think he knew deep down that he'd miscontrolled it and the chance had gone because of that. But
if he'd have scored that, you'd be like vintage Dele.
That is vintage Dele. That's what you can do. Because, again, defensive midfielders of any ilk don't like those runs. Central defenders don't want to cover it because they've got their own strikers to deal with. And if you get someone who can time those runs behind or into the box coming in late, which Dele has done for us, it's a real threat. But it is just a shame because once he got the ball down, you thought, just hit it. Do what you did at Everton all those years ago. Don't wait. Just hit it first time and see what happens. And unfortunately, he didn't. That extra touch meant that it went away. The Winks one, I think, was more of a penalty because it was just a stupid challenge. And it's a soft one because it's on the edge of the box, but there's no reason for Matip to jump into the back like that.
Yeah. John, Scouse's second goal, was it a handball?
Under the rules now, no, it wasn't.
When did that change, by the way?
It changed over the summer, and a lot of it was due to one of the biggest cited goals was the goal at Sheffield United that Kane had ruled out when, do you remember when Lucas went forward, got fouled, as he fell, it hit his arm, rolled into Harry, Harry knocked it in the goal. It was the most ridiculous rule out ever. But it was goals like that, and I think Marco Antonio also had one at Southampton, quite a long way out, and it's things like that that is why they've changed the rule. The stupid thing is, had Salah knocked it in, it would have been ruled out. So there's still a bit of weird inconsistency because it gave them an advantage by it touching his arm.
Mm.
Surely if the referee saw it, it would have been a foul. Anywhere else?
If the referee had seen it, he'd have given it, but he didn't give it. And that's the trouble.
I don't think any of us sat at home. Granted, we had the camera view that we had would have meant it was impossible to see it, but none of us thought, oh, that might be handball.
The lino should be seeing that though.
Possibly, but even the lino, if Salah's running into goal this way and the lino's over here, I don't know. Like, I don't think many Spurs players appealed for it. I'm almost more annoyed at Hugo that as he dives forward to punch the ball clear, Sadio Mane gives him a kick in the stomach, and he should have been rolling over in pain then. But it's I think it would. I think it was right that the goal stood. If I'm honest, like Salah's not trying to handball it. He's not trying to control it. He's not trying to gain any advantage from that. He's just trying to hit the ball. So I'm all right with the rules allowing that goal. And so I think this season is probably better than last season. But yeah, you're right. Like, no one really knows what constitutes a handball. But let's face it, no one ever really did, because I'm in the 2008 League Cup final where we got that penalty when I think it was Wayne Bridge. It kind of hit him here. Like, I don't think that was a penalty either, really. But it was given and it benefited us. So I don't know. Like, I think that in some cases it's clear where it's a handball. But if you're not really sure if he's intended it, then just let them play, because it's a lot of the times handballs aren't intentional, right? It's Maradona was a clear one where it was, but in most cases, they're not trying to do it. I mean, Henry was another one where it did. Put his hand out to stop it playing for France, but in most cases it's completely unintentional, and even from a defensive point of view, like you're not trying. Sissoko wasn't trying to armpit it in the Champions League final. It's I think that is a subjective thing to decide whether someone's trying or not, but we're not really getting any better decisions based on anything else. So it's a tough one.
Let's talk Sessegnon. Sessegnon, I thought, had an excellent game. Shan, excited to see him giving Reggie some competition, because let's be honest, Reggie hasn't had any competition really. I mean, Davies was pretty terrible at left back.
Yeah, no, he's had a free run at it, really, hasn't he? I think a little bit of competition will do him good. I think we both know we all know what their strengths are. They're both very good going forward. I mean, Sessegnon had a really good couple of moments in the box, keeping the ball. They couldn't get that ball off him. Some of the skill he showed was brilliant. Kept Salah in his pocket. I think it's the first game in 13 that Salah hasn't had a goal or an assist.
That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible for a player who's hardly played.
Sessegnon and Davies between them, to be fair, kept him quiet.
Much maligned.
Can you believe?
No, I can't. No, I genuinely can't believe it. That keys, mobile phone, wallet, Mo Salah.
Literally, he is in the Ben Davies penitentiary with all the others right now. I don't know if he's got out yet. We'll soon find out.
Like, it's on German commentary, they noted that Liverpool were attacking more down the left because they thought that the triangle of Ndombele, Royal, and Sanchez was more susceptible to conceding than the other side, which it's a low bar again. But like Davies and Sessegnon and Dele, who was in front of them, the three of them worked really hard, knowing we all know that Salah's probably the best player in the league right now. We all know that Alexander-Arnold, if you give him time, will hurt you. I mean, we gave him time in the first minute, and Robertson should have scored. So obviously they had a much more difficult task. But when Liverpool decided clearly that they'd have more success down the left, that does mean something. And when they went 4-2-4, they pushed Salah in field. and they had Firmino, I think, playing on the right wing. So they were desperate to get Salah more involved, and he just never really had much of a kick, which is really incredible, frankly, because he is that good.
But not able to cope with the Sessegnon and Davies partnership. I mean, fantastic. Long may it continue as far as I'm concerned. Happy with the point, everybody. Going into that, we were a bit worried. I thought we were going to get spanked, if I'm being really honest. John, happy with the point?
Before the game, absolutely would have taken the point. At the end of the game, when they had the last 20 minutes, including stoppage time, with 10 men, and the number of chances we missed, I'm a bit disappointed. But overall, very happy with the performance and taking a point.
HG, good point.
Well, yeah, because it's Liverpool are a really, really good side, so you take a point. It's not that long ago we were losing comfortably at home to Chelsea, and so we are improving. That's great. I still think that on another day, Robertson scores the header, Alexander-Arnold scores with that chance right at the end of the first half. Both sides missed plenty of chances. So I think 2-2 was probably fair, and yeah, I'm happy with how things are going at Spurs.
Sham?
I just want to point this out because so did we. In fairness, we had our entire midfield missing as well, so it was a bit of a tip for tap.
No Højbjerg. You must be gutted, Sham.
Honestly, I've seen him in every game since last year, the year before. And I'm not getting my Højbjerg fix, and it's been quite a while now. So that might be why I'm starting to go a little bit crazy. It's the lack of Højbjerg in my eyes.
Could be that.
It's affecting me.
He might struggle to get in that team now, Shan.
What? Now we've got Winky.
Got
Winky and Dele
in the 4.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come to him.
We'll get on to Winks, but who are we talking about?
I asked if you're happy with the point.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yes, because I thought we were going to get battered about 5-0 before it kicked off. Because Steve was like, "We're going to win this." And I was like, "Shut up, Steve. No, we're not. Don't be so stupid." And we should have won it. To be fair, I agree with John. It's a little bit disappointing that we didn't, but you've got to take
actual footage of Steve during the game.
He's watching as well.
Love you, Steve.
Yeah. Obviously, we've seen the improvement is tremendous. I don't know. I mean, I'm tempted to. I can't cut mayo out, but I'll happily cut ketchup out of my diet if it does the same thing for me. Like Jesus, what?
I mean, it might help with your bowel habits. I don't know. Who knows? Let's move on. Let's move on from that. Eric Dier. I saw some really. There's some stats that I think it was Paul Muir, channel member, threw up, and. Sorry, I've read that. Just as well. We love you, Steve. Come back soon on the show. I'm only playing. Anyway,
get it out. Come on.
Eric Dier had a great game. Shan, I'm going to stay with you for this one. I'm going to pass this one round because there's a couple Dier lovers here. Are you happy to see his resurgence? And his distribution was really good, wasn't it?
Do you know what? He weren't bad last season. The first half of the season, he was really good. And then he had a couple of dodgy games. And then all the confidence was just sapped out of him. And like me, he has irregular bowel movements, which is endearing for me, like of a person. But yeah, no, for me, Eric Dier has been my player of the season so far. He's been an absolute leader at the back. And for me, if we lost him, he'd be a bigger loss than Romero. I think he's that important at the back for us right now. So we're not really missing Romero at the minute. But if Dier was to go...
We never really had him, though, did we, Shan? To be fair, he played very inconsistently.
But look what happened at Palace. When Dier went off, it all went wrong.
Malice at Palace, yeah.
I think he's a very important player to this squad, and I think Conte knows that. Every game you see a photo of Conte chest pumping Eric Dier, and
he chest pumps everyone.
But he's very particular with his chest pump to Eric Dier. It hits differently. Eric Dier is just a man mountain, isn't he? He's like Björn from Vikings.
I don't even know what that means. Hey, Gene, you must be really happy to see your man crush Dier back in form, back in the side, back leading the team.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone knows that I'm a big fan of Dier, and I've been a big fan since he joined the club. But Dier might look better in a 3 than he did in a 2. I think that has to play a part. Like Dier knows, in theory, that with 2 centre backs alongside him, he's less needed when it comes to I mean, not less needed, but do you know what I mean? It's just there's the safety in numbers element, right? Like we wouldn't want to see Davies and Dier in a back 4 as the centre backs. We saw Dier and Sanchez do okay, but again, only when they camped on their own on the edge of their own box in a back 4. I just think that it suits all of them. I still think that, if Romero was fit, Romero would be the 3rd, and we'd see Romero, Dier, and Davies. And I think that that's probably what Conte wants to play. My issue then is, like, Sanchez looks a bit awkward because he's not as comfortable on the ball. Oh. Tanganga is quite comfortable, but doesn't. I have no idea what happened there. Tanganga is quite comfortable, but doesn't seem to trust himself enough. And so you're looking at, we all know that Rodin is good on the ball. Like, we could switch Dier with Sanchez, right? Sanchez in the middle, where all you really have to do is hold your position and cover when necessary, might work in Sanchez's favour. If you put Dier on the side, then it might allow you a bit more creativity with passing from the back. I mean, Dier proved yesterday that he still got that. But you do look at that back 3 and think that there's still an improvement to be made, even with the players that we have fit. So I'm thrilled for Dier because he clearly is, he's been at the club, almost 8 years now, 7.5 years. He stayed with us when he could have gone to Man United, which was his boyhood team. He is the furniture. He's not part of the furniture. He is the furniture at Spurs. And with Lloris possibly leaving in the summer, that leaves Kane, Son, and I mean Dier would be second longest serving player after Kane in that respect. So it's he's playing really well, and I hope it continues because he is. We found a system that makes, I think, a lot of our players look better. I really do.
This exactly. There's 125 people watching, only 53 likes. So do smash that like button. Are you okay, Shanna? Just a welfare check.
So Jack's wrapping presents downstairs, and he's obviously left like a little package on the floor.
I thought your dogs left packages on the floor. What are we talking about here?
What is going on?
Does he have problems with his bowels as well? I mean, is this a?
He's left a package on the floor, and Nala had it in her mouth. She was chewing it, so I had to return the package to Jack. I had to put it in my hand and chug it down the stairs.
Jesus, the world of Shan. Everyone should visit, but no one wants to stay. Right. Man of the match. They put. Do you remember who they put up for man of the match? HG. There were 4 options.
Was it
Dele,
Dier, Winks, Dele, and
Sessegnon.
Well, that's very English centric, isn't it?
I didn't see the poll. Who won?
Harry Winks.
Harry Winks won.
No, he didn't.
I shared it with you, Paula.
Oh, Gov there. Merry Christmas, you two at the Spurs. Thanks very much, Gov. We appreciate you tuning in, and absolutely thanks for your super chat. Well, I suppose I've got to talk about Winks, really.
Go on, caller. Yeah, we're waiting. We're ready.
Who's got the popcorn?
Well, we're not 100 likes. So I'm not like doing a eulogy. I'm not eulogizing him.
Just say how you feel.
Everybody wants to hear
wrong,
it.
caller. Come on. I said this 6 weeks ago when Conte joined, that Harry Winks was going to have a renaissance and he was going to turn into Harry O'Winksione. So can you now please tell me how I was right? Thank you.
You're not right. He hasn't yet. He's done it for a
couple
game.
Of good games.
He's had a game and a bit. He's had a
couple of good games.
Look, let's be fair. Winks had a good game. It's also, let's be fair, he was up against the reserve Liverpool midfield. So you know, you can only play against what's in front of you. But I'm going to reserve judgment on Mr. Winks till I've seen him do it consistently a few more times. And I think that's only right and proper. But did he have a great game against Liverpool? Absolutely. He was progressive, which was bizarre to see, if I'm honest. I didn't know he knew how. I mean, the fact that he was taken out for a penalty shout tells you that he's getting forward, and no one's used to seeing that. But he was combative. I thought he put some really good tackles in the midfield. I thought
that tackle for the first goal was brilliant, wasn't it?
Absolutely,
it was the same as he did. Was it against Mura in the Conference League?
Slight difference in standard, but yes.
Yeah, but it was the same thing that he did to set up the goal. It's winning the ball back by the halfway line and then straight away sending it forwards to the right, picking the right pass. He can do it. He just needs to, like you say, he needs to do it consistently.
How many more times are we talking? Well,
she'll hold you to it as well.
Let's be honest, Kerry, right? If you look at it from this perspective, so Davies, people are only just now coming round to the fact that Davies might be able to play left centre-back, and he's been there for, 6 games probably? Mm-hmm. So I would say if he does it for 6 games, then I will absolutely take it back. And on this, I wouldn't be that bothered if he goes. Won't be that bothered if he goes. I think we've got to turn over some players. I think the thing is with Winks, he's homegrown, so
question for you,
more likely that we'd try and keep him. Go on, Sham.
I saw this on Twitter earlier, so I'm going to ask you: 4 players, you can only keep 1.
I saw this. This one as well.
You can only get rid of 1. Sorry, you can only get rid of 1.
Rabina, yeah.
No. I think you were right. You keep 1, but the other 3 have to go.
No, you can only get rid of 1. This is the.
You got to sleep with 1 and marry 1 or something.
No, 4 players. You've got to get rid of 1, and it's Harry Winks, Dele, Joe Rodon, and Sessegnon. Which one do you get rid of?
So there's Winks, Rodon, Sessegnon, and
Dele.
Ooh.
Well, you're keeping Sess, aren't you? You're not going to get rid of Sess.
Not going to get rid of Sessegnon. Joe Rodon, I'd get rid of.
Me too.
Out of those 4, purely because we're not utilising him at all. And he's worth a bit of dollar. And he's probably worth a few quid. Yeah. If Brighton still want him,
can we change it? And if you could only keep 1 of those 4, which one would it be? Because I think that's a bit more interesting, right? Okay. See, yeah, I'd keep Dele, but I guess everyone knew that. If I had to keep 1 of them, it would be Dele.
I'd keep Harry Winks.
There you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think that there's a caveat to all of this. I'm not sure we're going to sell a lot of players in January, and even more so, given that we look like we're about to go into another lockdown. And if they continue Premier League football, it's going to be probably behind closed doors, without sounding too controversial, for at least a month. That's quite a loss of income. It's not catastrophic, surely, but it's going to potentially affect January transfer budgets, isn't it? For everybody, not just for Spurs, for everybody. And maybe the Newcastles of the world will still, they need to spank a lot of money. let's be fair. But who's going to want to go there? You've got to get players that want to go there. If you were staying at Tottenham,
Dele would go there. If they were going to pay his wages, he'd go. Absolutely.
Trippier's going, isn't he? Apparently.
Trippier. Yeah, but that's a move that makes tremendous sense. Trippier is a good right back, great set piece delivery. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you take him if you're Newcastle shoes? And why wouldn't you go there if they're offering you 200 grand a week and you're 32, 33 now?
Right.
Makes perfect sense for him.
It is a great retirement move for anyone right now. They can get some experienced players who will be happy to go there. Maybe the experience would be enough to keep them up. The crazy thing would then be, if you do keep them up, then you have to invest in younger ones. So these guys are going to get a lovely, 2.5-year contract, 3-year contract, whatever, and maybe only play for the first 6 months at Newcastle. It really is kind of interesting what will happen. But I'm more interested in what Spurs will do if we if we continue with this midfield 3, because you're looking at Højbjerg and Skip, right? Obviously, you'd think would be part of the 2, but we've got Lo Celso, we've got Ndombele, we've got Dele, we've got Winks. Lucas obviously missed out. He would miss out in that situation. Bergwijn and Brian, like suddenly you look at but even the 6 midfielders that we have first team experience and are quality players. Which 3 do you pick? Which 3 do you think works best together? That's a massive thing for Spurs over the next Well, I guess we've got 5 weeks until the end of the window. Like, if we're going to lose one, which one would it be? To me, it would probably be Dele, but it's an interesting one because if you want to get reinforcements, one of those 6 or maybe 2 of those 6 would have to move on.
I think this is the point. I don't necessarily agree with everything King Hollow writes, but fringe players can't be retained on the back of one good performance. That's ridiculous. Yes, it is, which is why it's ridiculous that we're sort of hailing the second coming of Winks on the back of one really good performance. Sham, he's got to do it consistently.
He has got to do it, but he also needs to be given the opportunity to do it consistently with decent players around him. And that's why I reserve judgment on Galini as well. He hasn't played with a proper back three. He's played with a makeshift defence. Every time he's played with a different defensive line. So I think
I've seen this on a couple of fronts. Lo Celso potentially off.
Back to Real Betis, wasn't it?
Yeah, Betis are doing really well. So if Betis make the Champions League, that could be something. It might be one of those loan with an options. If they do make it, they pay a certain amount. I mean, considering the deal that Betis did with us when we bought him, that they're clearly quite creative in how they do things. So, but yeah, I mean, we've got the young French kid, or not French, he's from Senegal. What's his name? Sarr. Sarr would come in and be one of those midfield 3 too. So, like, they're going to have to make some decisions about who plays best where. Because, like, Skip is obviously the more defensive, the middle of the 3. But where do you put Winks? Where do you put Højbjerg? Are they both better in the middle, or is Højbjerg maybe better on the right-hand side that he does for Denmark? Like, Conte will have to figure that out. And that's going to be, because if we buy Kessié as well, which we might, that midfield, despite they're all being good players, I think that there's going to be a churn. And yeah, I
think there needs to be a churn, HG, because these players have been at the club too long, and a lot of them are too comfortable, regardless of who the coach is. Some of them have just been there too long. And you need churn in teams. Every team churns. We haven't for a long time.
And if they want to leave, which it could easily be that Dele is looking and Lo Celso might be looking, as good as those players can be, it might make a whole lot of sense that they're the 2 to go. As much as we've not seen anything from either of them, we know they're talented. We can sit here and hope that those days will come. But yeah, if they're not interested in being at Spurs, and when Nuno was in charge, you understood it. Now it's a bit more like, really, you want to leave us now when we finally seem to got our act together? It's interesting, but yeah, you're right. With the 6 midfielders we have, we either have to figure out what the best 3 are, or we need to decide, right, we're going to make improvements, and then a couple of players have to go.
Makes me very sad about Lo Celso, if I'm honest. I really wanted him to work out. You've seen the player he can be playing with Argentina. It's just disappointing, really. But
and again, playing on the left-hand side of that midfield 3 would be the best place for him, right? I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like I mean, Dele, I don't think really fits in that 3. It would only fit if you're going to dominate the ball, and then you'd need his passing. But for the others, like, if it's a home game against Liverpool, you'd probably be looking at Skip and Højbjerg +1. Who that one would be, I don't know. And what's the next league game we've got? I mean, even West Ham, but the next league game is Palace at home. Like
Boxing Day, yeah.
Yeah, where do you go? Like, Winks probably deserves to keep his place, but will he? I mean, it's an interesting question. But I think that we need to figure out what the best, it's not the best trio would be. Who works well with each other? I don't know if Højbjerg's
back yet. I don't think Højbjerg's back in training yet, is he? So if he's still not back in training, I think Winks will keep his place.
I don't think Højbjerg should be playing that central pivot role. I don't think his passing is good enough. I think Skip is better with the ball than Winks.
Poor recently.
Yeah, he's more. I think he'd be more that number 8 box to box if that's the role we want him to play. But I think in the next few games, we're going to see rotation. Conte is going to drop players in and out because we've got so many games, and it will give them a really good chance and us a good chance to see them. So I think you're right. Lo Celso I hope he plays the left, not on the right of the 3, if that's the way we're going to go. Do you know what? I've always thought about Lucas, he could play a box-to-box midfielder if needed. In the cup final, he was our only player, wasn't he? Really, and
he's got energy. He's got loads of energy, hasn't he?
And he can run with the ball. He gets.
Can't pass it though.
Well, you say that, but how many goals has he created with little through balls? Pre-season, most of our goals were created by Lucas, and he's done a couple recently.
To be fair,
yes,
pre-season.
Quite often, but even it was a few weeks ago, he did a lovely little through ball. Can't remember who it was for, but he does give the ball away. I appreciate that from his passing sometimes.
Yeah, just rounding off the Liverpool match, Jurgen Klopp. Is his mask of German frivolity slipping when he doesn't get his own way once more? I mean, the guy looks like a cosmic bellend, doesn't he, Shan? Cosmic.
Honestly, this guy, he's just irritating, isn't he? He's the biggest. I mean, he's the perfect manager for the Scousers because they're all a bunch of crybabies anyway, and they complain about absolutely everything. If something doesn't go their way, you hear about it for the next century. But yeah, I mean, it's the snide comments. I mean, we remember Pochettino. Yeah, we remember Pochettino. Was it with Mike Dean?
Yeah, at Burnley.
He made comments at Burnley, and he got a ban. If Klopp, I bet Klopp don't get anything. Nothing will happen.
He should have what he said.
He should, because in my opinion, what he said was worse than Poch. And he went after the ref. It was in the tunnel. It was on the pitch. It was relentless. He got a yellow card during the game. But it's Jurgen Klopp. He's the media's darling. Nothing will happen about it. And he'll continue to get decisions go his way. Because let's be honest, I'm surprised that those decisions didn't go their way yesterday. Because normally they do. And what made me laugh is how it's implied that Paul Tierney was the 12th man for Spurs. We dread it when Paul Tierney's refereeing one of our games. He hates us. Absolutely hates us. So
I think there was a stat that in Tierney's last 12 or 13 games refereeing Spurs, we haven't won any of them, which is damning, really. So the idea that Tierney was a homer, no, he's just a terrible ref. He's terrible for everyone. But yeah, and then it's the comment about the sanitizer as well. Like, mate, you make enough money. Keep some in your coat. You know you come into a place where there's been COVID.
That's my tweet. That's what I tweeted.
Do you really think I'm leaving to be stuffing out on sanitizer? We've got a January transfer window to get through. What's more important?
Jokes aside on that, Shan. Like, anyone who's been on a stadium tour knows there are dispensers everywhere on the entrance to all the rooms. So we've got to do is wash hands before we get in the room. What's the problem? I mean,
he was saying because he touched the chair and stuff, and someone else might have touched it. But if you're that worried about it, have your own sanitizer.
Wear some gloves.
Or just stop being a dick and talking about it.
He's just one of these people that complains about absolutely everything. He's just irritating.
It's when it doesn't go his way. When things go his way, he's absolutely fine. But he's just a bit of a whinger, really, when it doesn't go his way. Anyway, HG, what's your view?
I mean, I think Klopp is an underdog manager, right? He likes to put his team as the underdog. I'm sure he knows his team are good, but at Dortmund they were always fighting against Bayern, so they were the underdog in the big games. Obviously at Mainz they were always the underdog because of who the club were. And I think with Liverpool, he buys into the mentality that maybe the city has. Like, I love Liverpool as a city, but I do think they have this idea that it's them against the world. And so, yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I like Klopp because I've known him obviously longer than most of you because I watched him on German TV 10, 15 years ago, and I do like him as a person. But like how he reacted, like some people would say it's just passion, that he cares a lot. And lots of people in England would say, well, passion is good. Like we love Conte when he's celebrating. Like I wonder how we'd feel if Conte was doing the same. Like I'm glad he's not, but it is, football's very tribal. We know what Liverpool fans are like. We know what the city, the history they've had, the club, all the rest of it. But as a person, I do quite like Klopp. I think he's a really good guy. And maybe yesterday, things got on top of him. They've had, they have had a lot of games compared to us. It was a big game for them because they needed to win to stay in touch with Man City. I think they had a lot more riding on yesterday than maybe we did, because for us it was a free hit, right? Like we're happy with the point, and those things have to be taken into consideration, despite the fact he does it all the time. Perhaps there's a reason why Liverpool are in those, in that position a lot of the time. They have that pressure week in, week out, and Spurs, for a number of years now, haven't.
I think your mum's nailed it on the head in the comments.
Oh boy, Moaning Mini.
Moaning Mini is Klopp. There you go. I mean, this got me as well. I mean, at a very good point. If you're so worried, why does he allow his players to hug?
He was hugging Sonny. Sonny literally just got over COVID. So,
yeah.
No,
and this. You're that worried? What are you doing with your hand in Conte's beautifully surgically repaired head?
But there was a comment as well about the disrespect that Klopp showed Conte with our tactics as well, when both our goals weren't from long balls, they were played
Can I read that out? Because I've got a response I've seen on Twitter. So Klopp said it was difficult for us for plenty of reasons. One was we had to change a lot. We played against Tottenham, who played a 3-5-2, and when they got the ball, they kicked it as far as possible, and Kane and Son were on their bikes. The response from Richard Cracknell, Crackers, quite a well-known Spurs fan, was Tottenham, 57 long balls. Liverpool, 64 long balls.
I think this is the idea of long balls, right? Like what constitutes that? Is it just Cambridge United from the late 80s where they just pump it long? Or is it, Robertson hitting it long to, Trent Alexander-Arnold on the other side?
Dyer.
That's
ultimately, if their fullbacks are pushing up, the way to beat them is exploit the space. So it's because he's pushing his centre-backs up to the halfway line. What are we supposed to do? I'll just give it back to them. Right. The point is, to beat that tactic, you need to kick it not even over the top, just along the ground, as Winks did for the second goal, which was a lovely left-footed pass from Winks and Alisson's nice blunder, which let Sonny score. But ultimately, it's his tactics. So I always find that strange when you complain about an opposition team. The only time you can really complain is if a team's doing a Wimbledon and kicking the crap out of you, and cheating effectively to win the game. But Conte's tactics were just better than Klopp's on the day. We just didn't take our chances.
Well, that's enough of Liverpool.
Can I just bring this one up, caller?
Go for it.
Because I've been waiting patiently for this.
She's not like you, to be honest.
On a different note, if we refuse a rearranged date for the Leicester game, do we get the 3 points?
Well, you want to talk about Ren.
This is a sore topic for me. Can we not?
I think we'll just briefly touch on it, because I think, Spurs Twitter has absolutely had its say today. Everyone's really happy to be out of the Conference League apart from HG. They really wanted to see Spurs in Vienna. Shan, happy you're out of the Conference League?
I mean, I've got mixed emotions about it. Obviously, I saw it ultimately as a trophy we could win.
Yeah.
And any trophy right now is a bonus. However, with the fixture pile-up we've now got from having these 3 league games postponed, plus still being in all of the domestic cups, I think it would have been more of a hindrance to us than anything good. Especially if we know we've got the quality to challenge for that 4th spot.
Yeah.
Especially with Conte. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a good thing that we're not in it now, but it's still a shame because it's something that we could have won and we should want to win everything. But for the greater good, I think it isn't the worst thing.
Does that mean we can, lose to West Ham on Wednesday night? Because if we win the League Cup, it gets us back in the Conference League where we don't want to be. And so, I get the logic. Conference League is obviously another 8-9 games to win it. It's a long time and a lot of travelling to get there. Assuming they continue with.
I'd rather beat West Ham, Chelsea, and Arsenal to win the League Cup than. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Of course I do.
Caliber of competition, isn't it?
Yeah,
HG, we're going to get top 4, so it's irrelevant.
I was about to say this. I mean, I don't know why everyone's so worried. Just how many times we're going to say this season? If we just win our games in hand, we're 4th.
We'll be saying it for most of the season, aren't we?
We've only played 6 away games, haven't we? We've played a lot of home games.
Yeah.
HG, I'm not even going to talk to you about it because I know what your view is. You're gutted not to be in the next round and seeing Spurs in Vienna?
Look, I expected us to get eliminated in this way. When I read the rules, I mean, it's pretty clear what's going to happen. The idea they needed to have a meeting to discuss it doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, it hurts because the only way Spurs are ever going to be in Vienna is if we're in a crappy European competition. Because Rapid's never going to make the Champions League. The other Austria Vienna is never going to make the Champions League. I was lucky last year that I got to go to the Linz game. But yeah, the Wolfsburg one was cancelled because of I would love it if we drew. I would love it. I would love it if we drew Salzburg in the Champions League. But that seems to be the only chance for Spurs to come to Vienna. We have to be in a crappier competition. And Arsenal have been here in the last 12 months. West Ham were here a couple of months ago. That still stings. Even if I expected it, it does sting a bit that it was taken away from me.
Okay. John, are you happy?
Didn't I say last week I was going to be a bit Shan-like and sit on the fence with it? I'm not really bothered we're out, to be honest. I think we've got more important things ahead of us now.
I mean, the only thing that's upset me is the prospect we might get more Saturday games now, which would make it harder for me to attend. I quite like.
Okay, Paula.
I know. I know a lot. I know someone who will have my seat, luckily. But yeah, I don't like Saturday games. I like Sunday games, to be honest. So I know that's not a popular view, but it is my view nonetheless. I see that Holly, friend of the channel, has joined the chat and has been really, really humble about her passion for Winks.
The bag is off. The bag is off, and Winks is under the Christmas tree.
The bag is off, Winks. Welcome to the chat, Holly. Yeah. Well, let's talk briefly about the West Ham game. But before we do that, there's just time to mention, if you haven't checked out our podcast already, please do. So it's available on Apple Music, Spotify, and is I think I'm right in saying, the fastest pod out as in pod review after the game. So we record instantly after the game, and it's normally out that evening or certainly very early hours of the next day, depending on how late up Franco is staying to edit it. So do catch that. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your usual podcast providers. If it's a good podcast provider, it's there. West Ham. Let's talk West Ham, if we absolutely have to, or the Caravan Club, as I like to call them. What kind of they've fallen a little bit off the pedestal recently, haven't they? HG, I'm going to let you talk lots about West Ham because they're your least favourite team, and I need to just go to the cooler and grab a beverage. Is there a star of wonder, star of light, burning less bright?
I don't know about burning less bright. I mean, the last few results haven't been great. They lost to the Goons, obviously, last midweek. They got a point at Burnley. They lost at home to Zagreb in the meaningless, Europa League tie. So they've not had great results recently, but I think they played all right at Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal took the chances, and that's why they won the game. And the right back got a red card that was a bit dodgy. But yeah, at home against West Ham, I remember the last time we had them at this stage of the competition, when it was Sherwood's first game, and we lost that one. I can't see us lose again. I hate West Ham because they hate us so much. That's pretty much it. I mean, I grew up thinking they were all right, and then after the Sanya gate, I started to learn just how much they really despised us. But yeah, to me again, I think Kane and Son will start. I don't think we're going to rest either of those. I think the midfield three is going to be the interesting choice. Everything else almost picks itself. Reguilon might come in for Sessegnon if he's fully fit again. Maybe Doherty for Royal just to switch things up a bit. But I think the midfield three is the tough call, because what three will work best? Are you going to go with Lucas again? Are we going to switch more to a 3-4-3 and kind of match what West Ham do? I think considering how many chances we created with a five in midfield, even if it is Liverpool's third choice, fourth choice midfield, personally, I want to see 3-5-2 again. I think that is our best way of doing it. But it's going to be a tough game because West Ham, it's their cup final again. They'll make T-shirts just like Spurs make DVDs. That they'll be thrilled if they can win, and they tend to get decent results at Spurs.
Is it the quarterfinal, HG?
It is the quarterfinal.
Yeah. And what are the possibilities of who we play? Who's left in it? I mean, have we got a chance of winning this competition?
There are other big
Chelsea,
teams.
Liverpool.
Yeah. So I think Arsenal Sunderland is one quarterfinal.
Arsenal then.
Yeah, exactly. Man City, no, they're out. So it's Liverpool against, I forget. I don't know.
Liverpool, Leicester, Brentford, Chelsea.
Brentford, Chelsea. Yeah. So
how sweet would it be to get Arsenal in the semi?
And then Chelsea in the final, like 2008.
Oh man,
I'm not sure if I fancy Chelsea again, to be honest, but yeah.
It's I don't know, because I mean, like, if we get Arsenal in the semis, I think we'd end up playing them 3 times in a week and a half, and that is something that I've seen before in football. It seems to happen quite often that teams end up playing each other regularly over a short basis. I'm not sure I could handle 3 North London derbies. You know, can you imagine if we're all stuck in lockdown and all we've got to do is watch North London derbies? Like, my heart couldn't take it. But yeah, like, you'd expect Arsenal will beat Sunderland. So I mean, if it is Liverpool and Chelsea that go through, you want Arsenal, right? You would want Arsenal in that semi-final over 2 legs. So we just got to beat West Ham to get there.
I mean, Arsenal are over-delivering in the league for my money. They're doing all right, but they keep beating people. Like, I mean, they beat a really understrength Leeds team. I think Leeds, and I saw it in the chat, they're 9 players out. They're not as good as they think they are. So yeah, I hope we come up against them, and I hope we beat West Ham. John, chances of progressing, beating David Moyes' side, they're a bit stronger now than they would have been a couple of years ago, playing pretty well.
Yeah, well, they're a good team. Their results aren't brilliant at the moment, as HG said. They lost to the Goons, but they've had a week's rest, haven't they? Because their game against Norwich got called off, so they should be fairly well rested. And then they've got 4 days after this till the Boxing Day game, so they should be rested and they'll be up for it. But having seen us on Sunday, there's no reason why we won't be up for it, and I'd expect a very, very good game of football between the 2 sides. I think interesting, down to the tactics, actually, is an interesting point, because obviously West Ham will not play the way Liverpool did and won't try and press us that far up the pitch. They will keep it tight and try and hit us on the counter. So it's a very different chess match to Sunday. But yeah, I think we need to go with the 3 in the middle. Personally, I'd like to see Kane and Son up front again, and they'll cause some problems because they're struggling at the back a bit, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Is it Bonner's out long term?
Yeah, long term, exactly.
Craig Dawson's.
Sorry,
go on.
No, so I think Cresswell's been out for a while. He won't play,
and Soufal's out, obviously, because he got sent off. I'm just going to look at their.
They may have to go with 4 at the back, which they haven't done too much this season. So that will be interesting from them. But
I mean, they might have to play Noble.
So interestingly, I'm just looking at their will not plays on Flash Score. Fredericks, who's their reserve right back's out. Brandon Johnson, who can play left or right back's out. Ogbonna's out, and Zuma's out. And Cresswell's questionable. So pretty much a whole back line for them is out.
Yeah.
So we should beat them based on that alone.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm buzzing.
We need is if Noble's in the midfield, I'm happy. Shad, you're there. You're going to be seeing it live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Who are you worried about in the West Ham team?
The same 2 as always. It's Declan Rice and Antonio, isn't it? Yeah. Are any of them injured or suspended?
No, they'll play. Lanzini Worldy as well.
I'll be honest. If Rice gets injured, they're in trouble, because I think he really holds that side together. He's an exceptional player. As much as it pains me to say it.
But yeah, I'll be at the stadium. I'm sat two rows from in the second row by the corner flag of the South Stand. So you might even see me on your telly.
Are you going to run on the pitch at some point, Chan? Is that what you're saying?
Can you take? I saw a certain YouTuber managed to get hold of Tongi Ndembele's shirt after the game at the weekend. Maybe you could take a big, sign saying, "Skip, give me your shirt" or something.
Take off your clothes.
Yeah, but Hoybiers, well, you could do that, but I don't think he's going to be playing. So you could try that. Yeah, I think you should take. Or even better, could you take a cheese room like QR code and sort of make sure you get on the telly so everyone can scan the telly and come to watch cheese room? We could do that. Carabao Cup or the Conference League, John? Which, I mean, obviously we're out of the conference.
It's a bit of a strange question now, isn't it?
Carabao
Carabao Cup.
No. Well, which one do you care more about anyway?
Well, Carabao Cup now. The Conference League's gone. I'm dead to it. I mean, I haven't unfollowed it like Shan did earlier. But, it's
we're
gone.
totally dead to the Conference League. Oh, yeah. That's fair enough. And here's a question for all of you then. What's the most irritating West Ham moment you can remember? So I'll go first. Mine would be, it's recent. It's the first season in the new stadium. They beat us 1-0. Antonio scored. And oh my God, I was sat right next to, in HG's favourite seats, sat right next to the West Ham fans. I could smell the horse manure from where I was, from the caravan, club. It was disgusting. And then they produced a T-shirt and a mug, and they actually had T-shirts saying we were the first team to score in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How sad can you get? That was pretty bad. I know one of you is going to say lasagna. Shan, I'll go to you first. What's your least favourite West Ham or most irritating West Ham memory?
Oh, there's so many. They're just their existence irritates me, Caller, if I'm honest. Their fans are their most irritating moment for me.
They're all quite irritating. I mean, they've got a rented stadium and they act like they're in London. Yeah. Anyway, all right. HG?
One moment.
Just one. It only gets
just one. It is really tough to choose. I think it's just it's less to do with what happens on the pitch, because they are kind of difficult games, and sometimes we win in the last minute, and sometimes they they eke a 1-0 victory, or was it 2-1? I think earlier in the season in the league at their ground. They're always tough games. We rarely beat them comfortably, but I think that what annoys me more than anything is the fact that they consider us somehow our equal. They're desperate for a rival. They're desperate to feel hated because they can't feel loved by anyone, so they have to feel hated by everyone. That is it for me. Like I've never considered West Ham a rival of Spurs, and I only dislike them because of how much they raise their game against us. There are a number of teams in the league that seem to think that Spurs are somehow a team worth hating, and I don't really understand why. We never win anything. Why hate us?
We bubble along, in mediocrity most of our existence.
We boil so much piss, and it's fucking brilliant.
I don't get why.
In Spurs is the amount of piss we boil. Everyone hates us.
I don't understand why West Ham consider. I don't understand. There's lots of things I don't understand about West Ham. I really don't. I don't understand why they consider us an equal. I mean, their trophy record is way worse than ours. Like, way worse.
This is very true. I agree completely with
that's true.
Mrs. Pesky-Solido, as I always call her.
There's just so many reasons to dislike West Ham, but I don't understand why they don't like us. Occasionally we gift them 3 points. We don't win anything, like you say. I don't really understand what. I guess they've got no one else. Millwall are too low in league. Charlton are too low. I guess they've got
They are the little brother that no one cares about, who acts up because no one cares about them. Like, oh, please look at me, please. We are important. No, you're not.
Yes,
not really.
Yeah. Dildo
brothers.
Yeah.
And West, yeah, that's the way it should be treated. Oh, is cute? Yeah.
What irritates me is just the number of Facebook posts I get tagged in if they actually beat us in a game. I never tag a West Ham fan. Never really mention anything on Facebook about anything about West Ham. And then you give it big time when you beat us. No, I don't. You just are sad and you have to tag me in something. Move along. Can I just give my worst moment anyway?
Go for it.
93-94. Teddy Sheringham had been out a long time, had an injury. He was coming back. He'd been out literally half the season, and we'd been dog shit under Aussie because we're missing Teddy. And he was back on the bench, and they won 4-1 at White Hart Lane. Teddy scored a penalty, but we were terrible, absolutely terrible, and that was an awful game to be at.
I've been at that game and I don't remember a single thing about it. So there you go.
Trevor Morgan scored.
You don't look old enough to remember that.
Thanks, caller.
I do, and I don't remember that. Look, so what's your predictions with this then, guys? What's the score going to be, Shan? Let's go to you first because you are our mole in the ground. I'm not sure if content can be working on Wednesday.
Am I on duty for the to get the vids? Is Diver gracing us with his presence?
I'm not sure if he is or not. Maybe if he's still watching in the chat, he can.
I think it's his family's game night. I think that's what he said a few
days.
Steve,
are you there? Come back to us, Steve.
Steve? Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is his family's game night. So I think, it's down. The Conte cam might not be as good, but I can probably get some good corners. Hopefully, we might score from one. That'd be good. Son corner. That'd get a lot of views. So.
Oh, he's going.
He's
just responded.
He is going.
Right.
See, there we go. You're getting it from all angles.
Yeah, HD. Your prediction.
My prediction
hang on. Wait, what's he talking about? You didn't even get to it. You're bumbling through.
I reckon it'll be 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. Okay. HG.
Typical Spurs would be 1-1 and then a penalty shootout. However, I hope that because Conte's in charge, we'll see yet more evidence that Conte is taking us to the next level. So I think maybe 2-0 Spurs.
Conte's at the wheel, right?
Yeah.
John.
I'm going to go end-to-end basketball cup game 3-2 Spurs.
Well,
Adrian's got a good question in the comments.
I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1. Adrian. What are your best West Ham moments?
Every time we beat them.
Yeah.
Every time they lose. They're all pretty much the same. Obviously, the 4-3 is a big one. Sorry, Shane, go.
The GOAT Musa Sissoko squaring up Mark Noble is iconic.
True. That is true. Yeah.
But maybe the assist from Sissoko for Lamela to head the winner at their stadium. I mean, that was as low as it got for them. If
Eric
those
Dier.
two combined to score a winner, Dier, that was
10 man.
Good. Yeah.
Eric Dier was in the last minute on his debut, scoring the winner.
And we've been 10 men early on, haven't we? Norton got sent off, didn't he, in that game for about half an hour?
Yeah, I mean they had one sent off as well. But I think it was 10v10 at the end. That Bale's goal. I mean, I went mental watching that.
That was amazing. That was amazing. That's probably one of my favourites. The thing is, that season Gareth Bale did that about 6 times.
Yeah,
and literally the same shot drilled into the top corner. Incredible.
Again, I had West Ham fans on Facebook or Twitter go, Spurs are all one-man team. I mean, we were pretty much, but
yeah, we were.
Yeah, he still
handedly kept AVB in a job for as long as he was.
It's one of those things. Like, if you're getting beat by a one-man team, how bad must you be that only one man is needed to beat you?
Here's another one. Seeing the gap between the pitch and the first.
Oh, can you see it? Isn't it too far?
I hope there's no trouble getting to the stadium with all their caravans parked up. I hope it'll be a smooth journey. It's long enough as it is.
They'll be camped out for Christmas. That's the problem, Shane. The police there to move them on. Okay, so we're going to win. That's good, and we've got some good inside people inside the stadium to take some footage and share that online. So that'll be excellent. What else?
Can I just say, how good was the tunnel cam video? The tunnel cam video was brilliant.
It was, yeah, it was brilliant.
Hope everyone in the comments has seen it. If not, give it a look.
Absolutely, John. Maybe you should type in the URL into the chat, and then
I'm going to start calling John the Plug King.
John the Plug. Actually, he does need a nickname. Do you remember when we used to have nicknames, HG? And
what are you saying that Caller and HG aren't our real names?
Well,
is that what you're trying to get at?
We've managed to get Garner 2 in this show. John is now known as the Plug, and Shan is now known as the Movement.
I think I like Steve's one that calling me Sensible John the other day. I much prefer that.
Anyway, Premier League have announced today. It's just a comment on really COVID announcement. So apparently the clubs had a bit of a meeting today, a conference call. and have basically said we're going to continue with the Christmas fixtures schedule where we can. Surprised about that at all, Shan?
Not really. I think no one wants to stop playing, but I mean, it's a bit selfish, but with the lockdown that's potentially coming, I'd quite like there to be a break in play for 2 weeks, so we're not losing that revenue going into the stadium. I think that would be the best thing if we're locking down, pause it for 2 weeks, and then carry on. It's not going to be the end of the world if we finish the season 2 weeks later than planned. There's no football going on in the middle of the season, so
I think that it's weird that they talked about moving the round of matches that are just after Boxing Day, where we play 2 days afterwards, and some teams have a bit more rest, and it makes perfect sense to move those now that they've got rid of third round and fourth round replays. There are midweek availabilities for those games. The problem is that I think it's Southampton for us. Is that game on the 28th? But we play Southampton again, I think, early February. There's only about 6 weeks between the two matches. And so if they moved that round, 3 weeks later, then there's only about 3 weeks between the matches. And I think that's... I remember it happening once before, a long time ago, where I think we played Coventry twice in 4 weeks at the start of the season. But that might be one of the reasons that they haven't. But to me, it should happen. There's no reason that, professional football players, especially if the lockdown does happen on the 27th, no one can go anyway. So move it later, and that way, maybe if there is a 3 week, 4 week circuit breaker, that could be the first game back with fans. So it does seem like I might understand why, if they've decided that they don't want to have teams play each other 2 times in 3 weeks, but every other reason says, hey, we've now got these extra weekdays. It's going to be better for the players. It's going to be better for the clubs. Why not do that? And I hope they revisit it. I know it's only a week away, but it would make a lot of sense if there is a circuit breaker lockdown, which I don't know. I haven't followed UK politics for a while, but if there is going to be one, then it would make sense to again try and move one of those rounds out of that lockdown so that revenue still comes in.
This is a very good point as well. If we can get it delayed by 3 weeks,
that's optimism overload, isn't it?
Romero will be back. We'll have a new squad. Everything will be fine. We'll be winning the league.
What I would say is we're going to have some great coverage of the transfer window with some special guests making appearances during the January transfer window. So do stay tuned to the Cheese Room for all of that. John, your take on the Premier League?
What, on them not cancelling anything? I think the trouble with moving stuff is that we don't know if we might have to have another, things may not improve in a month's time. That's the trouble. It's sort of all guessing at the moment. And I think the Premier League are just worried that if they cancel stuff now when they can sort of get by, that they might cause themselves more of a problem later on. And the season has to end at the end of May. There's Nations League games in June. So even though we haven't got the World Cup until later in the year, there's a lot of other fixtures. There's the Champions League, FA Cup. So I think we're going to have games to play, aren't we? We've got 3 rearranged games to play. Leicester obviously are going to be in the Conference League now. Sorry, they're going to win it probably, aren't they? Just to upset HG. They'll play Vienna. Don't worry. After Vienna beat Vitesse.
Fuck you. Sorry. If that happens, oh no.
I think they just need to get the games done as soon as they can. I think that's what that plan's going to be. And then, we can obviously play Burnley and Brighton at our leisure now because we won't have so many midweek games. But when you've got teams like, I don't know, the Champions League teams having to rearrange games, or even West Ham, their game, they're going to have to get them in quite quickly. Don't disagree with that, Gov, but unfortunately, FIFA is going to not allow that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, there you go. That's it, and that is pretty much all we've got time for in the Cheese Room. When are we back, guys? When are we back, John? You are the schedule.
I think I might be getting lumbered with hosting on Thursday.
So we're doing a Thursday night show.
Shan's gone.
No. She just messaged to say her laptop's dying, so I'm sure she's either plugging it in or just to the toilet or something. So Thursday we're back with a show previewing the weekend.
Yes,
Palace?
Palace is the next league game. We'll be talking about a lovely victory against West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Thursday night, what is it? Thursday night at so normally it's Friday, but obviously this week Friday's Christmas Eve, so it will be Thursday night at 9 p.m. UK time to discuss what happens in the West Ham game if it takes place, and to discuss the Palace game if it takes place. But we'll be here for you, so you don't have to watch the darts, you don't have to watch all those crappy movies from 1984 that are on TV. Get on YouTube and watch us talk about Spurs, which, let's face it, is the only thing any of us really care about.
It's true. It is true. These last couple of weeks without a game have been killing me. Make sure you do subscribe as well while you're here. Look, from me, it is only me because you two are back on Thursday, but I will be working, sadly. Happy Christmas from myself. I'll see you on the flip side. Hopefully we're going to get 3 points on Boxing Day. From Shan, happy Christmas. I don't know if she's on Thursday.
She's gone to look for Jack's package,
back.
I think.
If I'm honest, I don't think she is coming back. She's clearly, she's clearly left.
She's got dog toys to wrap, so leave her out.
This is it. And in the meantime, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you motherfucking Spurs!